Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. The world is a tiny place. It's compressed within a particle of a particle, within the graceful aspects of God, and it is contained within our heart. It's a very, very subtle thing to understand the nature of the world and to understand the nature of Allah. We, each of us, are caught up in our mind, which is the tool that we use in order to comprehend the world. Now, this tool is not the tool that's going to tell us the truth. This is the tool that's going to be keeping us trapped in illusion, because the mind is like an infant. The mind is like a child. The mind is without the ability to be satisfied, and the mind is connected in a very strong way to all of the material things in illusion. However, it doesn't treat them as if they were illusion. It treats them as if they were real. So we have functioning within us a consciousness, a state of consciousness that is the mind's state of consciousness, which is trying to grab and hold on to the entire world. Desire is constantly bringing up aspects of the world that it wants for one reason or another, and the mind is doing everything it can, in order to get that for desire. There is no satisfying the mind, and there is no fulfillment for the mind. There is no quiet or peace for the mind. One of the things that each of us has to be able to do is to begin to understand the nature of the mind, how the mind works, and how the mind influences us. We have to begin to watch it so that we know how it acts. If we watch it closely enough, and if we see its operation closely enough, and if we are capable of detaching ourselves from it while we view it, in other words, be a witness to how it works, as opposed to being entirely entangled within it, so that there's no conscious effort to understand. If we can detach ourselves, we can see how it works, and we can see its nature. We can see that it wants one thing after the other, and as it gets something, it wants something else. And it does this continuously without cessation. And no matter how much you bring to it, it's not satisfied. No matter what ends of the world you go to bring things through it, it's not satisfied. The mind can't be satisfied because it's constantly grasping at the nature of the world. God created the elements, and he created man out of the elements. And the elements are not godly. They are creations of God. So the elements don't have the purity that is God. The elements each have their own arrogance within them. Earth has arrogance, fire has arrogance, water has arrogance, air has arrogance, ether has arrogance, and we are made up of all of these elemental forces that all have arrogance. The earth absorbs everything that it sees. It takes in everything that it sees. It holds on to everything that it sees. And its arrogance is such that it believes it is the foundation of all things. Fire destroys everything that it touches. And its arrogance has to do with its ability to destroy. Water is blood, water is semen, and water is also destructive. So water has this arrogance of creation and this arrogance of destruction. The wind blows in many directions, and the wind influences the mind in that it chases it from place to place. It blows it from place to place. So it has the arrogance of directing the mind. And the ether contains the glitters of the world. When the sun comes out, you don't see the stars and the moon. But in the evening, when it's dark, the glitters come out and you can see the stars, you can see the moon. And so the ether has the arrogance of the colors and the arrogance of the various things that you can see in the dark. We have to be able to overcome all of these elemental forces. And we have to overcome the arrogance of the mind and desire. Now, desire wants things that it doesn't even need or it has no use for. A dog runs into a barn and it jumps on the bales of hay, and the cows come in back to the barn to eat, and the dog stands on the hay and growls and barks and keeps the cows from the hay. The dog can't eat the hay, but it keeps the ones who can eat the hay away from the hay. And this is the nature of desire. It's not about whether it needs it or not. It wants to be able to control even the things that it doesn't need. So, what is the secret to distracting the mind? What is it that can pull the mind from its fascination with the world and end this endless desire for things within the world? You have to show the mind something divine. You have to show the mind something that is more gracious, more beautiful, more enthralling, more graceful than anything that it can imagine. And this will mesmerize the mind. And I'll give you one example of that. The sheikh is such a beautiful thing. The sheikh is a manifestation of God's qualities within man. So when that manifestation of God's qualities are within a man, and that man is placed in front of you, and you are in contact with that man, the resonance of that manifestation quiets the mind and pulls the mind away from its overwhelming desires for illusion, because all of a sudden reality has been thrust in front of it, and by it being thrust in front of it, it's given it a different perspective, and it realizes that it's come across something that has satisfaction within it. This being, this mind that can't find stillness, that can't find peace, that can't find repose, that can't become calm, all of a sudden, when it's in the divine manifestation that is a true sheikh, a calmness comes over it, and its constant need is satiated, and its constant need is put to rest. So we have to look for God, and things that we find that are close to God, that represent God, that show God to us, will put an end to our constant, unending fascination with illusion. And we have to understand that it can be done, and we have to understand how it can be done. The only way to calm the mind, the only way to put an end to this constant desire, is to place divine things in front of it. So if you can show the mind the meaning of mercy, if you can show the mind the meaning of justice, if you can show the mind the qualities that belong to Allah, the mind can find satisfaction within that. None of the things in this illusory world, none of the desires within this illusory world have a cure. There is no satisfying any of them. The desires go on and on and on, but there is no satisfaction. There's just desire for one thing after another. However, when we bring about God's qualities and we concentrate on God's qualities, we see their different aspects, and we see the good that they do. We see the joy that they bring into the world, and this is a desire that has a conclusion. The desire to know God, the desire to understand his qualities, the desire to become at one with God brings peace to the mind and peace to our being. When you're with a peaceful being, that peace that is within that peaceful being radiates and gives off an aura of peacefulness, and it affects everyone who is in contact with that being. And this is the great gift that the teacher has. Not only can he explain the true nature of things, but he can also transfer the feeling of the qualities that he has to the ones who are near him. And as you give up your allegiance to the world and shift your allegiance to the Sheikh and to God, the nature of the mind becomes different. We live in three spheres. There's the sphere of the world, of illusion. There's the sphere of wisdom. And then there's the sphere of the divine, graceful effulgence that is God. The ones who live in the sphere of illusion and have no contact with wisdom live in illusion as if it was real. And they are constantly seeking solutions to everything within the makeup of illusion, within the makeup of the elements, as if solutions can come from those things, as if satisfaction can come from those things, as if true peace can come from those things. The ones who are caught up in this world of illusion never find satisfaction, never find peace, never find contentment. Illusion is a never-ending circle of disappointments and of new desires that we chase, or the people in illusion chase, and that have no conclusion. When wisdom begins to dawn, that attachment to illusion and the attachments to the desires that illusion creates begin to fade away, because wisdom understands that there is another point of view. We've changed from the point of view of everything is in the material world and everything is about obtaining the material world, to wisdom, where we understand that there are qualities that don't have physical materiality to them. They are without form, yet their power is greater than the power of form. Love is without form, yet the power of love is overwhelming. Mercy and justice and compassion are without form, yet their power is overwhelming. And when we recognize the power of that which is formless, we begin to understand the power that is God, and how through the formless this kind of power is available. And that's what happens within the realm of wisdom. Now, that which has no shadow, in other words, that which is without form, can only be seen by that which has no shadow. So we have to shift from the world of wisdom into the world of divine effulgence and grace, the world of light. This world of light exists when the elemental world no longer affects us, when we are no longer caught up in trying to manipulate form, where we no longer see ourselves as needing form to satisfy our needs, where we no longer see form as that which can bring us peace. When we finally understand that peace is not within form, but peace is within that which is formless. Peace is within the qualities that belong to Allah. And all of the qualities that belong to Allah are not elemental. None of them are elemental. They are all without shadows. They are all powerful in their own right, but powerful in a way that form is incapable of being powerful. Everything within the world, all of the form and all of the activity within form, has arrogance. It has jealousy. It has hatred. It has differences. It has separations. It has castes. It has religions. It has color. And all of these colors stand out as differences. And in the world of illusion, we hold that all of these separate things, all of these differences, somehow have impact and are important, and they are important to us. So, in the world of illusion, colors become important. What color our friends are becomes important. Races become important. Religions become important. Scriptures and their differences become important. Differences hold an important place in the world of illusion, because in the world of illusion, you have all of these countervailing, arrogant forces that are constantly in conflict. Earth, air, fire, water, and ether are constantly in conflict. Water and fire are the most easy to understand, and easy to understand the conflict within them. But all of them are in conflict. And to remove ourselves from this conflict, we have to remove ourselves from the attachment to the world. We have to remove ourselves from relying on the world in order to give us satisfaction. And this is very difficult to have happen unless you meet someone who's done that and who conveys that understanding not only in their words, but in their being, who you can see that the world has no meaning to him. The sheikh has no need for things. The sheikh has no need for wealth. The sheikh has no need for the things that are of the shadows, the things that are of illusion, the things that are temporary. The sheikh's focus is on that which is eternal. And somehow our focus has to change to that which is eternal. And when we can make that switch, when we can change from our focus on temporary satisfactions, temporary needs, to that which is eternal and everlasting and does not fade away, we become different. We enter into that phase called wisdom. Wisdom's point of view is from the light. Illusion's point of view is from the world. Illusion's point of view believes that this world always exists, always existed, and it doesn't see our own demise. It only thinks that things will go on forever. Watch men in this world who live in this illusory world. Dictators want to hold on to power forever because they think they will never die. They think they can always control. Politicians have this kind of an attitude. We need the attitude that this world is temporary, and no matter what is going on around us within this world of illusion, the truth is that what truly affects us is the nature of our qualities and the nature of our relationship with God. God exists everywhere. He's omnipresent. And he shares our heart with us. And he is within our heart. And if our heart is free of all of the blemishes of this world, free of all of the attachments in this world, free of everything but his qualities, then we can be in conversation with God within our heart. But as long as the world enters into us, this conversation with God can't go on. This one-on-one with our Creator can't go on. So what we need to do is surrender our blemishes to the one who has no blemishes. Surrender our desires to the one who has no desires. Surrender our ego to the one who has no ego. Surrender our I to the one who has no I. We need to surrender all of that which is within us that is not godly to the one God. And this occurs through interaction with those who have gone on that path and have begun the process of that path, and of course to some who have gone further than others. When one enters into the realm of wisdom and truly has left most of his attachment to this world, then that man becomes God's representative on earth. And why is he God's representative on earth? Because he exemplifies God's qualities in manifest form, walking the earth. That's what the true teacher does. He manifests God's qualities. So he is a representative of God on earth. He is without arrogance. He's without jealousy. He's without hastiness. He is patience. He is mercy. He is compassion. And when you interact with one like that, when you see one like that, one of the great gifts that he has been given by God, is to be able to transfer to others the gifts that he has. So God is a cornucopia of his qualities. There is no end to them. No matter how much is given, more is available. There is no cessation as to their ability to be spread throughout the world. So these men of wisdom, these men who've entered into the light, come back into this world to spread those qualities through the world, to become mirrors for humanity, so humanity can see those qualities in action. It's not enough to talk about these. All of these words are nouns and they are verbs. They have to be explanations and actions. If we can only talk about God's qualities and can't bring them into action, we have not accomplished the work that we are set out here to do. And what is that work? Well, because we were created of elemental forces, we have all of these elemental arrogances within us. The mind is elemental. The mind is one of the ways that we cognate, see, have consciousness with the world. So we have to distill the arrogance that we've been born with so that we can come into touch with that portion of us that God placed within us that is a ray of his being. So we're in two parts, and these two parts are in conflict with each other. There is a fight between them. The arrogance of the shell, the arrogance of the body, the arrogance of the elemental portion of ourselves, which has a time limit, is in conflict with the truth within us, which is eternal. And we must bring about a cessation of our attachment to that portion of us, which is the arrogant elemental self, so that we can come to know the light and the truth that is within existence. So our work is in two parts: to end the relationship with the elemental arrogance that is Maya, and to enter into a relationship with the eternal qualities that are the graceful nature of our Creator. And to do this, we have to concentrate heavily. We have to look with precise vision. And as long as we are under the control of the mind, as long as we are under the control of desire, and we are constantly in need of things, we don't have the ability to concentrate. We don't have the ability to truly examine. We're too busy trying to grasp and hold on to the world. So as we give up our desire to consume the world, as we realize that there is no benefit to this consumption, that there is no benefit to these accumulations, that there is no benefit to gathering everything that's in the world, once we realize that, then we can turn towards the point of view of light. And the point of view of light is that the elements are not who we are. Who we are is the soul. We are not a body with a soul. We are a soul with a body. And we have to begin to correctly identify ourselves. We have to begin to correctly see ourselves and see who it is that we, in truth, are. Once we begin to know this, then we can complete the portions of our path, which is to relieve ourselves of the arrogance of the elemental influences of our creation and move on towards the eternal qualities of God. This is the work that's been set out for us. And this work is called jihad, because this arrogance within us is very powerful. And all of our senses interact with the world. And to be able to deny what you see, touch, hear, smell with your senses, and to be able to accept that that isn't real, but that there's a reality beyond that, a reality inside of that, a reality wherein there are eyes within our eyes that are able to see truth. There are ears within our ears that are able to hear truth. There's a nose within our nose that can smell the fragrance of truth. Once we begin to realize that, then we are on the path to salvation and on the path to eternal life with our Lord. And we pray that this is the destiny for each and every one of us. Our destiny is an accumulation of that which we accept as truth and that which we do. So we create our destiny through our actions. So our actions have to be appropriate. Our actions have to be correct. And if we're going to be asking Allah for favors, these favors should be that our actions become appropriate and that act in accordance with his qualities so that we can come to know him and be among those who are considered his friends. May it be so for each and every one of us. Ameen, ameen. Ya Rabbil Alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.